Hello and welcome. Take a deep, slow breath and let your body begin to relax. Imagine yourself stepping away from the busyness of today, leaving behind all noise and distraction. The air around you is calm, soft, and warm, carrying the faint, earthy scent of rivers and forests. Today, we will travel back in time, across thousands of years, to explore a civilization that once flourished in the lowlands of Mesoamerica, the Olmecs. Imagine walking across soft, sun-warmed earth, listening to the gentle rustle of leaves and the distant murmur of rivers flowing steadily. We will move slowly, exploring their villages, ceremonial plazas, and quiet riverbanks, learning about their lives, art, beliefs, and the legacy they left behind. As you settle into a comfortable position, allow your imagination to open gently. Picture yourself among these ancient people, observing their rhythms, their work, their rituals. There is no hurry, no need to rush. The story unfolds slowly, like a river winding through the forest, guiding you calmly into the past. Each step, each breath, brings you closer to understanding the quiet beauty and enduring wisdom of the Olmecs. Imagine stepping into a world long before the bustling streets, the humming cities, and the steady pulse of modern life. Picture yourself on a warm, verdant stretch of land, where rivers wind like silver threads through dense forests, and the air carries a soft, earthy aroma, rich with the promise of growth. This was the world of the Olmecs, a civilization that emerged in Mesoamerica, roughly 3,000 years ago, long before the towering pyramids of the Maya or the grand temples of the Aztecs. The Olmecs are often called the mother civilization of the Americas, not merely for their innovations, but for the subtle ways their influence rippled through generations yet to come. As you walk along the gentle banks of a winding river, imagine the rhythm of daily life here. The land is fertile, the soil dark and welcoming, nourished by frequent rains. Families settled along these waterways, cultivating maize, beans, and squash, essential trio that would sustain them for centuries. You can almost hear the quiet chatter of children at play, the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze, and the distant call of water birds. Life here is rooted in a deep harmony with nature, each element of the environment carefully observed, respected, and integrated into daily living. The Olmecs were masterful observers, and their understanding of their surroundings is evident in the layout of their settlements. Imagine villages and ceremonial centers carefully positioned to honor both practicality and spiritual significance. The people built earthen mounds and platforms, laying the foundations for the monumental structures that would come to define their civilization. These were not merely shelters, but spaces imbued with meaning, places where the rhythms of the earth intertwined with the rhythms of human life. Picture the Olmec artisans at work, their hands shaping stone with patience and reverence. They carved the iconic colossal heads from basalt, some standing as tall as 10 feet. Imagine the weight of such a creation, hewn from stones transported over miles, and yet each face carries a gentle presence, a quiet authority that commands attention without force. These heads are more than art. They are windows into the Olmec understanding of leadership, identity, and memory. Each curve of the face, each carefully etched feature, tells a story of ancestry and cultural pride. The Olmecs did not leave behind a written script that modern scholars can fully decipher, but their culture spoke through objects, architecture, and rituals. As you wander through the imagined plazas, you might notice jade figurines glinting softly in the sunlight, obsidian blades catching the eye, and ceramic vessels decorated with symbols, both mysterious and familiar. These items were not merely decorative, they were expressions of belief, status, and connection. Imagine holding a smooth piece of jade in your hand, feeling the coolness against your palm, and sensing that it is more than a material. It is a bridge between the tangible world and the sacred. Consider the Olmec's relationship with water, an element as vital to their survival as the sun above. Rivers were highways for transportation and trade, carrying not only goods but ideas, stories, and rituals between settlements. Baying through the dense forests and marshes, these waterways linked communities and allowed for the exchange of crops, pottery, and skilled craftsmanship. Imagine yourself in a canoe, gliding silently along the reflective surface, the gentle lapping of water against the hull keeping time with the heartbeat of the land. You pass others doing the same, nodding in quiet acknowledgement of shared labor and purpose. Religion and spirituality permeated Olmec life, and it is here that the richness of their imagination shines. Envision sacred spaces adorned with stone carvings of jaguars, serpents, and other creatures whose forms bridge human and animal qualities. These images are not frightening but profound, representing connections to the natural and supernatural worlds. The jaguar, in particular, is a figure of power, mystery, and protection. You might imagine an Olmec elder guiding a young child through these sacred areas, pointing to each carving, sharing quiet stories of ancestors and the forces that shape life. In this way, knowledge flows gently from one generation to the next, like water nourishing roots beneath the soil. The Olmecs also developed early systems of trade, reaching into regions far beyond their home along the Gulf Coast. You can picture merchants carrying cacao, obsidian, and finely crafted jewelry, navigating forests and rivers alike. These exchanges were subtle, yet transformative, spreading ideas and techniques that would echo through subsequent Mesoamerican civilizations. Imagine witnessing the first glimmers of a network that, though small and delicate, is capable of connecting distant peoples in ways both practical and cultural. Life for the Olmecs was a tapestry of rhythm, observation, and quiet creativity. The children learned by watching, listening, and imitating, absorbing lessons that were as much about survival as they were about cultural identity. The elders shared stories under the shade of trees, their voices soft but deliberate, recounting tales of creation, of the land, of the spirits that inhabit the forests and rivers. Imagine sitting among them, feeling the cool grass beneath you, listening to narratives that stretch backward through centuries, and sensing your own place in the continuum of human history. The Olmec civilization was not uniform. It evolved over centuries, adapting to shifts in climate, geography, and social dynamics. Yet through these changes, certain constants remained: a reverence for nature, a pursuit of artistic and spiritual expression, and a commitment to community. Imagine standing on a hill at sunset, the sky painted in soft hues of amber and rose, the sound of a distant river accompanying your thoughts. Below, the village hums with quiet life, children running, artisans working, elders instructing. In that moment, the Olmecs are not merely a historical people, they are living, breathing echoes of ingenuity, curiosity, and resilience. As night falls, the air cools and carries the scent of wet earth and flowering plants. Stars begin to pierce the darkening sky, mirrored faintly in the rivers below. Picture yourself lying on the soft grass, gazing upward, feeling the vastness of time and space, and sensing how the Olmecs, through their careful observation of the world, carved a place in history that resonates even today. Their beginnings were humble, yet profound, rooted in connection, creativity, and the gentle pursuit of understanding, the foundation that would quietly shape the future of Mesoamerica. Imagine closing your eyes now, letting the rhythm of rivers, the whispers of forests, and the gentle presence of a civilization long past lull your mind into calm reflection. The Olmecs, in their early days, remind us that even in simplicity, life can be rich with meaning, and that the quiet choices of a people can echo for millennia. As you drift into thought, the beginnings of this remarkable civilization settle into your awareness, a soft, enduring light on the vast canvas of history. Imagine walking along a broad, sunlit plaza, the ground beneath your feet firm yet yielding with the dust of centuries. You are surrounded by structures that rise softly into the sky, not towering like later civilizations, but dignified and purposeful. This is the heart of the Olmec classical period, roughly from 1200 to 400 BCE, when their influence blossomed and the foundations of Mesoamerican culture deepened. During this era, the Olmecs developed a structured society that balanced ceremonial life with practical needs. Imagine villages and towns connected by narrow paths, rivers serving as the lifelines of transport and communication. You might hear the gentle hum of daily activity, the clink of tools shaping stones, the soft laughter of children, and the distant murmur of elders in discussion. Their communities are carefully organized, reflecting a profound understanding of both space and social harmony. Consider the Olmec leaders of this period. They are not rulers of conquest in the way we might imagine, but stewards of the land and culture. Imagine them walking slowly through their settlements, observing artisans at work, listening to traders, and offering guidance during ceremonies. Their authority is subtle, grounded in wisdom, experience, and the respect of their people. Leadership is expressed through action and example, rather than by force or spectacle. The Olmec economy thrived during this time, rooted in both agriculture and trade. Picture fields of maize swaying gently in the breeze, interspersed with beans and squash, forming a nourishing quilt across the fertile lowlands. Farmers work methodically, their hands skilled from generations of tending the soil. Beyond the fields, trade routes connect villages, carrying obsidian, jade, salt, and cacao. Imagine the rhythm of canoes gliding silently along rivers, their occupants sharing stories and goods alike. These exchanges are more than commerce. They are channels for cultural transmission, spreading ideas, artistic styles, and rituals across the region. Art and craftsmanship reach extraordinary heights during the classical period. Imagine walking past plazas where colossal heads, each unique, rise solemnly from the earth. Their faces, calm yet commanding, convey the dignity of those they represent. Nearby, jade figurines glint softly in the sunlight, delicate carvings of humans, animals, and hybrid forms that seem to breathe life into stone. The Olmecs also work with ceramics and finely polished tools, each piece imbued with subtle symbolism. Imagine holding a small jade pendant, feeling its smoothness, and sensing that it is more than ornamentation. It is a piece of a worldview that honors ancestry, nature, and spiritual balance. Religion permeates daily life in ways both gentle and profound. Imagine ritual spaces framed by earthen mounds, shaded by trees, where smoke from incense curls lazily into the sky. The Olmecs honor forces that intertwine the natural and supernatural. Jaguars, serpents, and other creatures appear frequently in their art, not as threats, but as symbols of transformation, strength, and protection. Picture a ceremonial procession, quiet and deliberate, moving through the plaza with soft chants and measured steps. The air carries the earthy scent of damp soil and burning copal, and the rhythm of drums pulses gently in your chest, echoing the heartbeat of the land. During this classical period, Olmec society began to influence neighboring regions. Imagine artisans and traders carrying not only goods, but also techniques and ideas to distant settlements. The Olmecs' sophisticated understanding of architecture, urban planning, and ceremonial design quietly shaped the practices of later civilizations, including the Maya and Zapotec. Picture a small village far downstream adopting new artistic motifs inspired by an Olmec jade figurine or the curve of a monumental head, without even realizing that these subtle innovations are weaving a cultural thread across centuries. Education and cultural transmission were equally vital. Children learned through observation and participation, absorbing knowledge in a rhythm that mirrored the cycles of planting and harvest. Imagine sitting on a grassy knoll, listening as an elder describes the stars and their patterns, or teaches the art of carving small figurines. The lessons are subtle but enduring, blending practical skills with spiritual understanding. You can almost feel the continuity of generations, each one passing on the accumulated wisdom of countless seasons. The Olmecs also honed early astronomical and calendrical knowledge during this period. Imagine watching the sun rise over a riverbend, casting golden reflections across the water. The Olmecs observed these daily patterns closely, noting changes in light and shadow, rainfall, and the cycles of the moon and stars. This knowledge guided agricultural practices, ceremonial events, and social rhythms. Imagine the quiet satisfaction of understanding the world in a way that harmonizes human activity with the broader cycles of nature, and knowledge that fosters patience, attentiveness, and care. Though the classical period is often associated with growth and refinement, it is also a time of subtle challenges. Environmental changes, shifts in river paths, and the pressures of sustaining growing communities require careful adaptation. Imagine villagers negotiating new planting schedules, adjusting trade routes, and building new platforms to accommodate expanding ceremonial spaces. These responses are not dramatic crises, but examples of quiet resilience and ingenuity, the hallmark of a civilization attuned to its surroundings. As you walk toward the edge of a ceremonial plaza, you might pause to observe a group of artisans shaping a basalt head, while nearby, children chase each other along the soft grass, and elders discuss the day's plans for trade and ritual. The scene is serene, yet vibrant, reflecting a society that values harmony, observation, and skill. Imagine feeling the cool breeze, the warmth of the sun, and the gentle vibration of life all around you, as the Olmecs continue to cultivate their culture, art, and knowledge in ways that quietly ripple into the future. By the end of the classical period, the Olmecs have left an indelible mark on Mesoamerica. Their artistic motifs, ceremonial practices, and understanding of social organization echo through time, influencing civilizations yet to arise. Imagine looking back at the settlement from a small hill, seeing the orderly plazas, the gleaming jade, and the soft curve of sculpted heads, and sensing the quiet power of a people whose influence will extend far beyond the rivers and forests they once called home. As night falls, the air cools, and the scent of wet earth mingles with the distant aroma of flowering plants. Picture the soft glow of a fire in the central plaza, elders sharing stories under the starry sky, children lying nearby with eyes wide in wonder. The rhythm of life continues, calm and enduring, and you, standing amidst it all, sense the continuity between the Olmec's classical era and the long journey of human history. Their careful observations, artistry, and rituals leave a gentle, lasting imprint, one that whispers across the centuries, inviting reflection and quiet admiration. Imagine closing your eyes now, letting the memory of soft plazas, rivers, and monumental art lull your mind into calm contemplation. The Olmecs, in their classical period, remind us that growth and sophistication need not be loud or violent. They can emerge from patience, care, and deep attention to the world. As you drift in thought, the echoes of their civilization settle around you, soft and enduring, like a gentle current flowing steadily through time. Imagine walking along a winding riverbank, the water glinting softly in the sunlight as it carries small canoes filled with goods and people. This is the stage for the Olmec's encounters with the wider world. While their settlements are deeply rooted in the fertile lowlands of Mesoamerica, the Olmecs were not isolated. Trade, migration, and spiritual exchange brought distant influences that subtly shaped their society, adding new layers to their rich cultural tapestry. Picture yourself observing a quiet marketplace, the air filled with earthy scents from fresh maize, beans, and cacao. Traders arrive from distant regions, bringing obsidian from volcanic highlands, seashells from coastal shores, and brightly polished jade. Each item carries not only material value, but also ideas, stories, and techniques. You can imagine watching artisans study these imported materials, experimenting with new designs, and weaving them into their own traditions. Trade was not merely commerce, it was a gentle conversation between cultures, a meeting of minds expressed through craftsmanship and exchange. Foreign influence also arrived in the form of spiritual and ceremonial ideas. Imagine standing in a ceremonial plaza where the Olmecs have incorporated motifs and rituals inspired by neighboring peoples. You might notice symbolic patterns etched into stone, representing natural cycles, animals, or mythical beings. While their spiritual world remains distinctly Olmec, the subtle echoes of external ideas, perhaps a new form of jaguar symbolism or a stylized serpent blend seamlessly into their ceremonies. This is not imitation, it is adaptation, a graceful weaving of external inspiration into the fabric of existing beliefs. The rivers, which have long been the lifeblood of Olmec communities, also served as conduits for cultural influence. Imagine traveling downstream in a small canoe, passing villages where local customs mix with Olmec practices. Traders and travelers carry stories, songs, and ritual knowledge, gently introducing new ways of understanding the natural world. Perhaps a ritual dance performed in one settlement inspires a similar movement in another, or a carving technique observed in a distant village informs a local artisan's approach. In this way, ideas flow as fluidly as the rivers themselves, connecting communities across miles of forest and marsh. The Olmecs were also affected by shifts in climate and geography, events that indirectly brought outside influence into their lives. Imagine a season when the river swells higher than usual, changing the surrounding landscape. Communities may adapt by consulting distant villages for guidance, borrowing farming techniques, or exchanging insights on water management. These interactions, while subtle, create networks of cooperation that extend beyond the boundaries of any single settlement. In these quiet adjustments, you can see how interconnected the early peoples of Mesoamerica truly were. Art and symbolism continue to reflect these external influences. Imagine walking past a ceremonial mound and noticing a sculpture with a style that differs slightly from familiar Olmec patterns. Perhaps the curves are sharper or the eyes more elongated. These are hints of contact with neighboring regions, absorbed and transformed through the Olmec lens. The colossal heads, the jade figurines, and ritual objects all carry traces of dialogue with other cultures, creating a visual language that is uniquely Olmec, yet enriched by the broader world. Trade routes themselves are soft arteries of influence, carrying more than goods. Imagine a merchant arriving with cacao, obsidian, and seashells. While unpacking the goods, the merchant shares stories of distant mountains, coastal tides, or ceremonial practices from faraway lands. Young apprentices watch attentively, absorbing both practical skills and subtle hints of foreign culture. The Olmecs, in turn, integrate these ideas into their art, ritual, and daily life, demonstrating a remarkable openness to learning while maintaining their identity. Consider also the gentle influence of language and communication. Words, chants, and symbols travel alongside material goods. Imagine hearing a melody or a spoken story that originated miles away, adapted by Olmec storytellers into a local context. These subtle exchanges enrich the collective imagination, allowing the Olmecs to expand their spiritual and cultural repertoire without losing the coherence of their traditions. Even architectural ideas show signs of foreign influence. Imagine observing the layout of a new ceremonial platform. The arrangement of plazas, mounds, and pathways reflects innovations seen in neighboring settlements. Perhaps an imported technique allows for more stable foundations or creates a more harmonious alignment with natural features such as rivers or hills. The Olmecs are careful, however, to integrate these ideas gently, ensuring that any adoption enhances their existing practices rather than replacing them. Religion and spirituality, while deeply rooted in Olmec identity, also reflect these subtle exchanges. Imagine a ritual space where the familiar figures of jaguars and serpents coexist with motifs inspired by distant regions. The ceremony unfolds with soft chants, the scent of incense curling into the air, and a rhythmic beat of drums echoing gently across the plaza. The presence of external motifs enriches the ceremony, deepening its symbolism without disrupting the continuity of tradition. Despite these influences, the Olmecs maintain a strong sense of identity. Imagine walking through a village and observing familiar practices, children learning by imitation, elders guiding storytelling, artisans shaping jade and basalt. These practices remain the backbone of Olmec life. Foreign influences are absorbed with care, enhancing and expanding the culture rather than diluting it. The result is a civilization both grounded and open, resilient yet adaptable, quietly preparing for the next phase of its growth. As evening falls, the soft glow of the setting sun illuminates the ceremonial mounds, casting long, gentle shadows. Picture yourself sitting on a grassy knoll, the cool evening breeze carrying the scent of wet earth and flowering plants. The rivers reflect the last light of day, and the sounds of daily activity gradually soften into a calm rhythm. You sense the subtle interplay of internal innovation and external influence, a dance that shapes the Olmec civilization in ways both visible and unseen. In these moments, it becomes clear that the Olmecs were not only builders, artists, and spiritual guides, they were connectors. They observed the world with patience and curiosity, selectively integrating ideas from neighboring cultures to enrich their own society. Imagine feeling the quiet satisfaction of understanding a civilization that thrives not through conquest or dominance, but through gentle adaptation and attentive learning. As night deepens, stars emerge, one by one, mirrored in the slow-moving rivers below. Imagine lying on the soft earth, listening to the distant whispers of communities, the gentle lapping of water, and the faint rustle of leaves in the breeze. Foreign influence, though subtle, has helped shape the Olmecs into a civilization of remarkable depth, creativity, and interconnectedness. It is a reminder that cultures flourish not only through their own efforts, but also through thoughtful engagement with the wider world. Imagine closing your eyes now, letting the memory of flowing rivers, quiet trade, and ceremonial mounds carry you into reflection. The Olmecs of this period show that influence is not always loud or overwhelming, yet can arrive gently, like a soft current shaping the contours of a riverbed over time. As you drift into thought, the echoes of their interactions with the world around them settle softly in your mind. A reminder of how even quiet connections can leave enduring marks on history. Imagine walking along a sun-dappled path, the air filled with the soft hum of life birds calling from the treetops, the gentle rustle of leaves in a mild breeze, and the distant laughter of children playing near riverbanks. This is a period of expansion and refinement for the Olmecs, a time when their civilization flourished in ways both visible and subtle. The growth is not sudden or dramatic, but steady, measured, and enduring, a reflection of careful observation, creativity, and communal effort. During this period, the Olmecs honed their agricultural practices, cultivating maize, beans, and squash with remarkable skill. Imagine fields stretching in neat, overlapping patterns, tended with patience and care. Irrigation channels wind softly through the landscape, carrying water to nourish the soil, while families work together to sow, tend, and harvest. The rhythm of planting and gathering is intertwined with ceremonial life, creating a gentle balance between sustenance and spirituality. You can almost feel the warmth of the sun on your back, the texture of rich earth under your fingertips, and the soft satisfaction of a community in harmony with the land. Technological and artistic developments flourish during this period as well. Picture artisans shaping basalt and jade with ever greater precision, refining techniques passed down through generations. Monumental heads rise from ceremonial plazas, each unique, each a silent testament to the Olmec's understanding of leadership, memory, and identity. Meanwhile, smaller figurines, carved from jade or clay, reflect intricate detail, symbolic motifs, and careful craftsmanship. Imagine holding one of these objects in your hand, feeling the smooth coolness of jade, and sensing that it is more than an artifact. It is a vessel carrying centuries of thought, belief, and ingenuity. Trade continues to expand during this period of growth, linking Olmec settlements with distant regions. Imagine standing on the edge of a river as canoes glide silently past, laden with cacao, obsidian, shells, and finely crafted jewelry. These goods are more than commerce. They are threads connecting distant communities, carrying ideas, artistic styles, and subtle cultural practices. Picture artisans observing new materials, adapting techniques, and experimenting with forms inspired by what travelers bring from afar. In this way, the Olmecs quietly shape the broader region, weaving their influence into a tapestry of interconnected peoples. Economically, communities experience a gentle flourishing. Imagine marketplaces where families exchange not only goods, but knowledge, recipes, and stories. This period is not marked by wealth in a modern sense, but by a richness of resources, skills, and shared understanding. Villages grow gradually, accommodating increasing populations with thoughtful planning, ceremonial centers expanding to meet the spiritual needs of the people. You can sense the careful attention to balance between practical life and ritual, labor and leisure, individual and community. Political structures also mature during this time. Leadership becomes more formalized, guided by experience, wisdom, and respect rather than force. Imagine leaders walking among their people, offering guidance during planting and harvest, advising on ceremonial matters, and ensuring that the rhythms of daily life remain in harmony. Decision-making is often collaborative, involving elders and skilled artisans, and reflecting a long-term perspective that values stability, continuity, and mutual respect. This is not a society obsessed with conquest. It is a society invested in the enduring well-being of its people. Artistic expression continues to evolve, often intertwined with spiritual and political life. Imagine plazas adorned with intricate carvings, motifs that blend natural observation with symbolic meaning. Jaguars, serpents, and other sacred creatures appear frequently, not as frightening beings, but as guardians, guides, and embodiments of spiritual principles. The Olmec's aesthetic sensibility is subtle, yet profound. Its curve and angle carries intentionality, creating a visual language that communicates belief, identity, and cultural memory. Imagine walking slowly past a carved altar, running your fingers lightly along its surface, and feeling the quiet resonance of centuries of thought and devotion. Education and cultural transmission thrive during this period of growth. Children learn by observing artisans, farmers, and elders, gradually internalizing skills, rituals, and knowledge. Imagine sitting in the shade of a great tree, listening to stories of creation, ancestral heroes, and the cycles of the natural world. Lessons are imparted gently, absorbed through experience rather than rigid instruction, and passed down from one generation to the next. This slow accumulation of wisdom ensures that the Olmec's culture deepens, stabilizes, and endures over time. This period is also marked by subtle technological innovation. Imagine observing the careful shaping of stone tools, the refinement of irrigation systems, or the experimental carving of larger ceremonial monuments. Each advancement is incremental, a product of observation, creativity, and collaboration. The Olmec's growth is not marked by sudden leaps, but by a steady, measured increase in knowledge, skill, and societal complexity, a gentle unfolding that mirrors the natural cycles of their environment. Religion and ritual continue to knit society together, fostering a shared sense of identity and purpose. Picture ceremonial plazas at dawn, bathed in soft light, where drums beat a slow, steady rhythm. Smoke from burning incense curls lazily into the sky, carrying prayers and intentions. Elders guide the young, explaining the meanings of symbols, the roles of sacred animals, and the interconnectedness of the natural and spiritual worlds. These ceremonies are not loud spectacles, but quiet, deliberate acts of reflection, reverence, and communal harmony. As you wander through an expanding Olmec settlement, you notice the seamless integration of everyday life with ceremonial spaces. Homes, workshops, fields, and plazas flow together in a rhythm that is both practical and symbolic. Imagine the soft chatter of families, the careful shaping of ritual objects, the distant hum of music, and the gentle pulse of rivers and wind, each element contributing to a civilization quietly reaching its potential. By the end of this period, the Olmecs have established a society that is resilient, interconnected, and culturally rich. Their art, technology, trade, and spiritual practices reflect both continuity and innovation, creating a lasting foundation for future civilizations of Mesoamerica. Imagine standing on a small hill at sunset, looking out over the villages and ceremonial centers, sensing the careful, deliberate growth that has shaped the Olmecs into a civilization of remarkable depth and harmony. As night falls, the air cools, and the earthy scent of damp soil mixes with the fragrance of flowering plants. Picture the gentle flicker of firelight in the central plazas, elders sharing quiet stories, and children listening with rapt attention. The period of growth is a testament to patience, observation, and collective effort, a reminder that civilizations flourish not only through grand events, but through steady, thoughtful care over generations. Imagine lying down on soft grass, listening to the distant rhythm of rivers and the subtle night chorus of wildlife. The Olmec's achievements during this period settle around you like a gentle current, a calm presence that reflects creativity, cooperation, and harmony. As you drift into thought, you carry with you the quiet essence of a civilization that grew steadily, nurtured by the land, the people, and the enduring pulse of cultural curiosity. Imagine walking along the edges of an Olmec settlement as the sun dips low in the sky, painting the landscape with warm shades of amber and rose. The river still glimmers, reflecting the soft hues of evening, yet you sense that change has arrived. This is a period of subtle challenges, a time when the Olmecs face environmental shifts, social adjustments, and the natural ebb and flow of history. The crisis is not violent or chaotic, but gentle and pervasive, requiring careful adaptation, resilience, and patience. Picture yourself observing the farmlands. Crops that once thrived may struggle in certain seasons, with rivers shifting courses and rainfall patterns varying slightly from year to year. Farmers adjust with care, experimenting with new planting techniques or rotating fields more thoughtfully. Imagine walking alongside a farmer as he tests a small plot of soil, noticing its texture and moisture, and planning the next steps with quiet determination. These small, deliberate choices ripple through the community, shaping not only the harvest, but the rhythm of daily life. Trade, too, encounters subtle disruptions. Imagine canoes arriving along the river with lighter cargo, traders speaking of distant settlements, experiencing their own challenges. Yet, even amid these fluctuations, the Olmecs demonstrate adaptability. They exchange local resources, share knowledge, and support one another across distances. This period reminds you that growth and prosperity are not constant, and that resilience often emerges through gentle adjustments rather than dramatic interventions. The social fabric of the Olmecs is tested as well. Imagine elders gathering under the shade of a great tree, discussing ways to maintain harmony, resolve disputes, and ensure that younger generations continue to learn the skills and traditions that sustain the community. The rhythms of ceremonial life may shift, with festivals and rituals adapting to new circumstances. Picture the soft drum beats marking the start of a modified ceremony, children watching attentively, and adults participating with care and mindfulness. Even in moments of difficulty, cultural continuity provides comfort and guidance. During this period, the Olmecs also face the quiet challenge of maintaining technological and artistic traditions. Imagine artisans carefully carving basalt and jade, mindful that some materials are now harder to acquire. They experiment with new methods, adjusting techniques to suit the available resources while preserving the integrity of their art. Monumental heads continue to rise, though perhaps with more deliberate pacing and thoughtful planning. Each piece reflects not only skill, but also the calm resilience of a civilization learning to navigate shifting circumstances. Environmental changes occasionally create opportunities for reflection and adaptation. Imagine the riverbanks after a season of higher water, revealing new fertile soil and small islands where communities can experiment with cultivation. Elders teach younger members to read these subtle signs in the landscape, guiding planting decisions and helping everyone understand the interconnectedness of land, water, and human activity. Even challenges become lessons, shaping both practical knowledge and the spiritual appreciation of the natural world. Religion and spirituality provide a gentle anchor during this time. Imagine ceremonial plazas where incense curls lazily into the air. Drums beat a slow, comforting rhythm, and elders guide children in quiet reflection. Sacred symbols of jaguars, serpents, and hybrid creatures continue to inspire contemplation, offering reassurance that the natural and spiritual worlds remain in balance. Rituals adapt to the circumstances, yet the core principles, respect, observation, and harmony persist, reminding the community of the continuity that underpins their society. Trade routes may be affected by distant conditions, yet they remain essential lifelines. Imagine traveling downstream in a small canoe, noticing changes in the flow of goods, but also seeing the persistence of exchange. Cacao shells, jade, and pottery still move between settlements, carrying both practical value and cultural knowledge. These exchanges, even when modest, reinforce social bonds and provide continuity amid uncertainty. The Olmecs demonstrate that adaptability, rather than rigid adherence to past routines, ensures survival and ongoing connection. Children and apprentices learn resilience naturally during this period. Picture a young artisan adjusting to the scarcity of certain materials, experimenting with alternatives, and receiving gentle guidance from an elder. The lesson is subtle but enduring. Creativity and flexibility are as vital as skill and tradition. Through observation and participation, the younger generation internalizes the understanding that change is part of life, and that thoughtful adaptation can sustain a civilization across generations. This period of crisis, though challenging, is also a time of introspection and growth. Imagine walking along a quiet river at dusk, the soft lapping of water accompanying your thoughts. You notice subtle patterns in the clouds, the movement of birds, and the scent of damp earth. The Olmecs observed these signs as well, incorporating them into their agricultural planning, rituals, and communal decision-making. The crisis becomes not a source of despair, but a catalyst for careful attention, ingenuity, and subtle renewal. By the end of this period, the Olmecs emerge with a strengthened sense of cohesion and resilience. Imagine standing on a gentle hill, looking down at the settlement where life continues, fields still planted, artisans still crafting, elders still guiding. The community has navigated challenges not through force or haste, but through patience, observation, and careful adaptation. Their society remains intact, their cultural practices sustained, and their spirit quietly reinforced. As night falls, the sky deepens into shades of indigo and violet. Stars begin to twinkle above, mirrored faintly in the calm river below. Imagine sitting on soft grass, the gentle breeze brushing your face, and listening to the distant, comforting sounds of village life. The Olmec's period of crisis is not marked by upheaval or loud calamity, but by subtle challenges met with patience, reflection, and collaboration. It is a testament to the quiet strength of a people attuned to both their environment and one another. Close your eyes and let the gentle currents of rivers, the soft glow of fires, and the calm presence of ceremonial plazas carry your mind into reflection. The Olmecs of this period show that even amid difficulties, a civilization can sustain itself through observation, cooperation, and steady adaptation. As you drift into thought, the echoes of their quiet resilience settle softly around you, a reminder that enduring strength often emerges from calm, persistent attention to the world and the people within it. Imagine walking through a quiet Olmec village as the morning sun spills softly across the landscape, illuminating fields, workshops, and ceremonial plazas with a gentle warmth. The civilization has endured, adapted, and now enters a period of subtle modernization, a time when new ideas, refined techniques, and social innovations gradually shape daily life. This era is not about sudden leaps or dramatic revolutions, but about steady, thoughtful progress, reflecting the Olmec's deep understanding of their world. Picture artisans at work in open-air workshops. They experiment with tools and materials, refining methods passed down for generations. Imagine watching a sculptor carefully shaping basalt, testing different angles to perfect the contours of a ceremonial head. Nearby, a young apprentice carves a small jade figurine, observing the elder's hands and learning not only technique, but also patience and mindfulness. Each object, whether monumental or small, carries the quiet wisdom of experience and the subtle excitement of innovation. Technological development moves hand in hand with daily life. Imagine farmers improving irrigation systems, gently redirecting water to nourish crops more efficiently. Simple innovations, such as raised planting beds or controlled river channels, enhance agricultural yields without disrupting the natural rhythm of the land. You can almost feel the cool mud beneath your fingers, the soft rustle of maize leaves, and the quiet satisfaction of practical improvements that benefit the entire community. Trade continues to expand, linking the Olmecs to distant regions with increasing sophistication. Imagine standing on the riverbank as canoes glide silently past, carrying cacao, obsidian, shells, and intricately decorated ceramics. Each journey strengthens connections between settlements, spreading not only goods but ideas, artistic motifs, and ceremonial practices. The Olmecs approach these exchanges with careful thought, incorporating new influences without losing the integrity of their own traditions. Trade becomes a gentle channel of learning, a conduit for slow but meaningful modernization. Social structures also evolve during this period. Imagine elders and community leaders discussing how to coordinate larger construction projects, ceremonial events, or seasonal planning. Leadership is exercised with attentiveness and consideration, guided by experience and collective wisdom. Decisions reflect a careful balance between innovation and tradition, allowing the society to adopt new methods while maintaining harmony and cohesion. You can sense the subtle rhythm of governance, where guidance is gentle, deliberate, and attuned to the needs of the people. Cultural life flourishes in parallel with practical innovation. Picture ceremonial plazas, alive with movement, soft drumbeats marking rituals, and incense curling lazily into the sky. Artistic expression reflects both continuity and refinement. Monumental heads, jade figurines, and carved altars display increased sophistication in design, while retaining the spiritual and symbolic depth that defines Olmec identity. Imagine walking slowly through these spaces, running your fingers lightly along polished stone, and sensing the dialogue between past traditions and contemporary refinement. Education and knowledge transfer grow increasingly deliberate. Imagine children learning alongside elders and artisans, absorbing practical skills, ritual knowledge, and cultural values. The methods are subtle and immersive: observation, imitation, and gentle guidance. Through these soft lessons, each generation carries forward the accumulated wisdom of centuries, while also contributing their own ideas and refinements. It is a slow, deliberate process, much like the quiet shaping of stone into art or water, carving the riverbed over time. This period of modernization is also marked by subtle urban planning. Imagine walking through a village where homes, workshops, and ceremonial spaces are arranged with careful consideration of natural features. Paths follow gentle slopes, plazas align with rivers and hills, and sacred sites are positioned to catch the early light of dawn or the glow of the setting sun. The Olmecs demonstrate a refined awareness of space and environment, blending practical needs with spiritual significance, ensuring that daily life unfolds in harmony with the land. Religion and ritual continue to provide structure and continuity, even as society adapts and innovates. Imagine a ceremonial event at sunrise. Drums beat a steady rhythm, incense rises in delicate spirals, and elders guide children through movements, chants, and symbolic gestures. The spiritual framework evolves subtly, incorporating insights from neighboring regions and internal reflection, while maintaining a grounding in traditional Olmec beliefs. These rituals provide reassurance and stability, reminding the community of enduring values even amid change. During this era, knowledge of astronomy, cycles of the moon, and seasonal shifts becomes more refined. Imagine villagers observing the rising sun and stars, aligning ceremonial events with these natural patterns. Agricultural planning, spiritual observances, and social rhythms are harmonized with celestial movements, reinforcing a deep sense of connection between human activity and the broader cosmos. These insights reflect the Olmec's quiet sophistication, a gentle modernization rooted in careful observation and thoughtful adaptation. As the day progresses, imagine walking past a river where canoes glide silently. Children chase one another along grassy banks, and artisans continue their careful work. The air carries the gentle fragrance of wet earth and flowering plants. The Olmecs move gracefully through this evolving society, embracing innovation while preserving the wisdom of generations. Their civilization thrives not through abrupt upheaval, but through careful refinement, subtle improvement, and enduring attention to the balance between tradition and change. By the end of this period, the Olmecs have positioned themselves as both guardians and innovators. Their cultural, technological, and spiritual practices are more refined, their trade and social networks more sophisticated, and their communities more resilient. Imagine standing on a gentle hill at dusk, observing a village where life unfolds in harmony with the natural world, and sensing the quiet continuity that allows a civilization to endure, adapt, and flourish. As night falls, stars begin to twinkle across the darkening sky, mirrored softly in calm river waters. Imagine lying on the soft grass, feeling the gentle breeze, and listening to the subtle rhythms of village life. The Olmec's period of modernization is a testament to steady, thoughtful progress, an enduring reminder that innovation and refinement can flow gently, in tune with both the earth and the wisdom of the past. Close your eyes now, allowing the quiet of ceremonial plazas, flowing rivers, and the soft glow of fires to settle your mind. The Olmecs of this period show that civilizations can grow, adapt, and modernize through patience, observation, and gentle refinement. As you drift into thought, the echoes of their quiet innovations remain, like a soft current weaving steadily through the centuries, shaping the course of human history. Imagine standing quietly on a gentle hill overlooking a lush Olmec settlement. The soft light of dawn stretches across the ceremonial plazas, fields, and riverbanks, illuminating the subtle beauty of a civilization that once shaped the broader contours of Mesoamerica. Though the Olmecs may no longer thrive as they once did, their influence flows gently through time, touching the cultures, arts, and ideas of civilizations yet to rise. Picture the monumental heads carved from basalt, their calm, watchful faces still gazing across centuries. These sculptures were more than commemorations of leaders. They were statements of social organization, spiritual authority, and artistic sophistication. Imagine a Maya artisan, centuries later, studying the curves and expressions of these heads, incorporating similar proportions and motifs into new works of art. The Olmec's quiet innovations ripple outward, leaving an enduring mark on architectural, artistic, and spiritual traditions across Mesoamerica. Trade and cultural exchange continue to be a thread connecting Olmec influence to other societies. Imagine distant settlements adopting Olmec agricultural techniques, ceremonial layouts, and symbolic motifs. Rivers and overland paths carried not only maize, cacao, and jade, but also methods, rituals, and knowledge. Picture a Zapadic or Mixtec craftsman handling a jade pendant, noting its polished surface and symbolic carvings, and using that inspiration to create a piece unique to their own culture. Through such subtle adoption and adaptation, Olmec innovations quietly shape the course of regional development. The Olmec's spiritual and ceremonial systems also leave a lasting imprint. Imagine observing ritual spaces built by later civilizations, where the imagery of jaguars, serpents, and hybrid creatures echo the forms first carved by the Olmecs. These symbols carry forward, connecting communities to ideas of transformation, protection, and cosmic order. Picture a priest explaining the meaning of these symbols to attentive youth, passing down wisdom that originated long before their time. The Olmec's symbolic language becomes a silent foundation upon which subsequent Mesoamerican religious and cultural life builds. Consider their contributions to early urban planning and architectural concepts. Imagine walking through the orderly layout of a later ceremonial center, plazas aligned with rivers or natural features, platforms for gatherings, and areas designated for artisans and markets. The echoes of Olmec planning are evident, reflected in subtle design choices that enhance social cohesion, ceremonial harmony, and practical functionality. Even in civilizations separated by centuries and geography, the gentle principles first applied by the Olmecs continue to inform settlement design. The Olmecs' achievements in art, technology, and agriculture establish patterns that inspire later societies to expand upon. Imagine standing beside a well-tended maize field, thinking of how Olmec agricultural innovations, irrigation techniques, and crop rotation practices influenced generations of farmers. Imagine a Maya astronomer observing the rising sun, calculating planting cycles, and drawing on knowledge passed down through networks shaped by Olmec predecessors. These contributions, though subtle, resonate across time, demonstrating that influence is not always immediate or obvious, but can endure quietly through careful observation and transmission of knowledge. Even their social structures and approaches to leadership leave gentle imprints. Imagine a distant village adapting community coordination techniques seen in Olmec settlements, balancing ceremonial needs with practical responsibilities and fostering harmony among families. The Olmec's approach to governance, emphasizing respect, consensus, and long-term planning, becomes a guiding principle that quietly informs the development of future societies. You can sense that their influence is less about conquest and dominance, and more about thoughtful example, a soft current shaping behavior and priorities across generations. Artistic motifs, ceremonial practices, and symbolic imagery serve as enduring touchstones of Olmec culture. Picture a young artist, centuries later, studying a small jade figurine, noticing its careful detailing and symbolic depth. Inspired, the artist adapts these elements into new works, blending traditional forms with local innovations. Through this slow, thoughtful exchange, Olmec ideas live on, not in static imitation, but in continuous reinterpretation that sustains cultural memory while fostering creativity. Education and knowledge transmission are another channel of their enduring impact. Imagine a teacher recounting creation stories, agricultural techniques, or spiritual rituals learned from elders who themselves inherited these lessons through generations. The Olmec's emphasis on observation, skill building, and ceremonial understanding resonates in these teachings, subtly shaping the intellectual and spiritual landscape of Mesoamerican civilizations. Knowledge flows quietly across centuries, connecting one society to the next in a continuum of shared wisdom. By understanding their role in world history, we see that the Olmecs were not merely a local or temporal phenomenon. They were architects of cultural continuity. Imagine the vast networks of rivers, forests, and settlements, of Olmec innovation, from art and architecture to spirituality and agriculture. Their influence spreads gently across landscapes and generations, shaping societies in ways both tangible and intangible. The civilization itself may no longer thrive, yet its presence lingers in the patterns of life, belief, and creative expression throughout Mesoamerica. As evening approaches, imagine standing once again on a quiet hilltop, the soft glow of sunset bathing ceremonial mounds, fields, and workshops. The rivers mirror the deepening sky, and the air carries the gentle fragrance of flowering plants. You feel the enduring presence of the Olmecs, their innovations, artistry, and wisdom quietly woven into the fabric of countless societies. The civilization's role in world history is not measured in conquests or headlines, but in the soft, persistent influence that shapes generations and cultures. Imagine closing your eyes now, letting the gentle echoes of monumental heads, ceremonial plazas, flowing rivers, and soft rituals settle your mind. The Olmecs remind us that history is shaped not only by dramatic events, but by careful observation, creativity, and patient cultivation of ideas. As you drift into thought, the legacy of this remarkable civilization surrounds you, quiet yet enduring, a gentle current flowing steadily through the rivers of time. Imagine standing on a quiet riverbank at dawn, the gentle light spilling across calm waters, soft mist rising from the surface, and the air filled with the earthy fragrance of wet soil and flowering plants. You are not just looking at a landscape, you are tracing the enduring footprints of the Olmecs, a civilization whose presence continues to ripple softly through time. Though centuries have passed since their greatest days, their legacy remains alive in art, culture, agriculture, and spiritual thought. Picture the monumental heads carved from basalt, now silent, yet profoundly expressive. Imagine touching the smooth stone surface, feeling the subtle curves, and sensing the care and intention that went into each creation. These heads are not merely relics, they are vessels of memory, reminders of a society that valued observation, artistry, and social harmony. They whisper to us across the centuries, telling of leaders who guided with wisdom, communities that thrived through cooperation, and a people who observed the world deeply and gently. The Olmec's influence on Mesoamerican civilizations endures in ways both subtle and profound. Imagine walking through a Maya city, observing ceremonial plazas, carved altars, and artistic motifs that echo the designs first refined by the Olmecs. The jaguars, serpents, and hybrid creatures familiar from Olmec iconography continue to appear, carrying forward symbolic meanings of transformation, strength, and spiritual balance. Through these enduring motifs, Olmec ideas resonate softly in the minds and hearts of generations long after their creators have passed. Agricultural practices, too, are a living part of their legacy. Picture fields of maize, beans, and squash swaying gently in the breeze, tended using techniques refined centuries ago. Irrigation, crop rotation, and soil management methods developed by the Olmecs quietly sustained communities far beyond the lowlands of their homeland. Imagine farmers studying the movement of rivers, the cycles of the moon, and the changing patterns of rainfall, drawing on knowledge passed down across generations. The Olmec's attention to the land teaches us that careful observation, patience, and respect for natural cycles create lasting abundance. Even their approach to knowledge and education carries enduring lessons. Imagine children learning by observing artisans, farmers, and elders, absorbing skills and wisdom through gentle guidance rather than rigid instruction. This method encourages curiosity, adaptability, and thoughtful engagement with the world. The Olmecs understood that culture, skill, and spiritual insight flourish when transmitted through observation, practice, and reflection, a principle that continues to inform education and mentorship today. Trade and cultural exchange also remain part of their quiet legacy. Picture rivers and paths that once carried Olmec goods, ideas, and innovations, now echoing with the movement of peoples and resources in later centuries. The exchange of materials, artistic techniques, and spiritual concepts helped weave a web of interconnected communities that endure to this day. Through this network of influence, the Olmecs remind us that civilizations thrive not only through isolation or conquest, but through thoughtful interaction, cooperation, and mutual enrichment. Their artistic and technological achievements continue to inspire. Imagine holding a small jade figurine, polished and carved with care, feeling its weight and the precision of its form. Each piece embodies the Olmec's ability to merge aesthetic refinement with symbolic depth. Monumental heads, carved altars, and ceremonial platforms reveal a civilization attentive to proportion, alignment, and spiritual significance. These creations endure as lessons in patience, craftsmanship, and harmony, gently guiding our appreciation for creativity that balances utility, beauty, and meaning. The Olmec's spiritual practices also leave a soft, enduring imprint. Imagine a ceremonial plaza where incense curls lazily into the sky and soft drumbeats mark the rhythm of a ritual. Though the people themselves have long passed, their attention to harmony, symbolism, and the cycles of nature continues to resonate. Their teachings remind us that spirituality is intertwined with daily life, observation, and respect for the natural world, the gentle but profound guidance that continues to influence human understanding of balance and connection. As you reflect on their legacy, consider the lessons for the future. Imagine standing on a hill overlooking the landscape, rivers flowing calmly, fields stretching gently, and ceremonial mounds rising from the earth. The Olmec's careful cultivation of knowledge, art, agriculture, and social cohesion reminds us that enduring influence is built over time, through patience, observation, and respectful adaptation. Theirs is a legacy not of dramatic conquest, but of thoughtful engagement with the world, a principle that remains relevant in every age. Even today, scholars, artists, and communities continue to study and draw inspiration from the Olmecs. Imagine the soft turning of pages in a research manuscript, the careful chiseling of a modern sculptor echoing ancient techniques, or the thoughtful adaptation of traditional practices in contemporary rituals. The Olmecs live on not merely as history, but as a source of insight, reflection, and inspiration. Their example encourages us to observe the world carefully, act thoughtfully, and create with purpose. As the sun sets, imagine lying on the soft grass near the river, the cool breeze brushing your face, and the gentle sounds of nature surrounding you. The Olmec's legacy settles around you like a quiet current, a soft but enduring presence that flows through the landscape, through human creativity, and through generations of thought and practice. They remind us that civilizations are remembered not only for dramatic events, but for the careful, persistent cultivation of knowledge, harmony, and beauty. Close your eyes now, letting the gentle echoes of ceremonial plazas, rivers, sculpted stones, and cultivated fields lull your mind into calm reflection. The Olmecs teach that even in the quietest moments of observation and practice, enduring influence is born. As you drift into thought, Feel their presence, softly guiding your imagination. A gentle current flowing steadily through the rivers of time, carrying wisdom, artistry, and harmony into the future. Now, as our journey through time comes to an end, take a moment to rest in the quiet beauty of the Olmec world. Picture yourself once again on a soft riverbank, the sun lowering gently toward the horizon, the air carrying the faint scent of earth and flowers. Imagine the monumental heads, ceremonial plazas, and cultivated fields, standing silently but gracefully across the centuries. You have walked with artisans, farmers, children, and elders. You have glimpsed their rituals, their creativity, and their wisdom. And now you return to the present, carrying with you the calm, reflective spirit of a civilization that continues to whisper its stories softly through time. Take a deep breath. Feel the comfort of your present surroundings, contrasting the bustling pace of modern life with the steady, enduring rhythm of the past. Let the quiet of rivers, the sway of maize fields, and the gentle presence of ceremonial spaces soothe your mind. Allow your thoughts to drift like leaves on a slow river, carrying you gently toward rest. The stories of the Olmecs have settled softly around you, a gentle current of reflection, patience, and wonder. Let yourself sink fully into this calm, letting the echoes of history guide you into a deep, peaceful relaxation. And as you breathe slowly and evenly, imagine drifting into sleep, carried by the serene flow of time itself.